Oh, what a beautiful day for an explore. Huh. That's weird. Looks like it's getting dark. Better set up camp for the night. There we go. Did I just hear something? What's that? I could have sworn I saw something. Nah. There it is again. Over there. I don't know. I think my eyes are playing tricks on me. Well, better try and get some sleep. What was that? Oh, now it must be around here somewhere. How could I have gone and lost it? Oh, I don't know. Oh, anyway, it's time to start. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Minecraft The Journey. Please forgive me, my head seems to be missing. That's because we're in Minecraft Beta 1.8 pre-release, a very buggy version of this particular pre-release, which has a very strange texture bug, which causes different entities at different times to not display their skins correctly. Just like you can see, my arm is missing, my head is missing, my glasses are intact. I don't know. It's very strange. Please also forgive my voice at the moment. You might hear I'm a bit congested. That's because I had a cold. And they take a long time for your nose to get back to normal. But, I'm going to continue. I'm going to press on. So, here we are in Minecraft Beta 1.8 pre-release. In the last episode, we were discussing how there was a leaked version of this pre-release that was discovered and posted, and that's the version of the game that we're in right now. It contains all sorts of interesting bugs and quirks like this one, and we're going to upgrade to the next pre-release version very soon, but not just yet because there are some bugs in this version that I want to explore in a little bit more detail. But before we get into all of that, you might have seen that I had a close encounter last night. I went out and did a bit of exploring, and then I set up camp, and I swear there was some kind of weird, mysterious creature. I guess Notch decided that he wanted to add some more creepy mobs into the game, and that's exactly what he did. So we're going to head out into the world and see if we can find one of these mobs and talk a little bit about how they came to be. Before we head out, I just want to pick up some provisions. Now, we know that in versions up until this point, food items have not been stackable, but in Beta 1.8, there's a whole new hunger management system, which I'm going to cover in more detail soon. But as you can see, we can now stack things like bread, pork chops, cooked pork chops, all sorts of things like that are now fully stackable. And this is great because it means that we can actually just pick them up in our inventory like this and carry a load more food with us. I can actually cook all of that up and carry it with me and just eat it from the stack. So I can now keep it somewhere like this, and anytime I need to eat, I can just move to that slot and then consume the item. I can't do it at the moment because my saturation is full, but I'm sure that along the way I will need to eat some food, which includes a whole new eating animation and a whole system we're going to have to get used to. Question: how do you invoke fear into your players? Answer: create a new, creepy, scary mob and add it to the game. And that's exactly what Notch did. Our first glimpse of this new mob was on July 26th, 2011. Notch and the team were deep in the middle of coding for the new adventure update, and Notch posted this picture to his Google Plus account saying, "The new mob I've been working on is a bit creepy." Yep, definitely creepy. There are some interesting things we can see from this image. The first is that the mob is very tall. In fact, it's 3 meters tall. It appears to be a tall, thin, humanoid creature with a dark skin texture and long, thin arms and legs. It seems capable of picking up blocks, as we see it carrying a sand and a grass block. And zooming into their faces, we can see they have piercing white eyes, almost like they're looking into your soul. Creepy. But so far it was nameless. Almost immediately, players commented on how much the new mob reminded them of the Slender Man, a paranormal, long-limbed spectral figure wearing a black suit. This creature had been created by an artist named Eric Knudsen. It went viral and quickly became a recognizable meme at the time. Notch picked up on these comments and said, "That's it, I'm officially naming them Enderman," as a subtle reference to this. But although we know them as Enderman today, it's possible that they could have been known as something else entirely. The Farlanders. Players who were eager to come up with their own take on the lore and backstory to this mysterious new mob speculated on where it could have come from. The Farlands was one of those ideas. Perhaps they were a mysterious creature that evolved out in the Farlands. Notch tweeted, "/V is petitioning me to change the name from Enderman to Farlanders. How about we just rename the Farlands to the end instead?" But I think Notch was still keen on keeping the name Enderman. Besides, Farlander is a more common existing term than Enderman, according to a quick Googling. Notch posted about how he'd received a lot of feedback about the mob, answering some questions about their behaviour. The Endermen are peaceful. If you look straight at them, they freeze and look at you. When you look away again, they run fast and teleport. They run towards you, not away, so if you happen to look at one, do not look away. They stop being peaceful if you look straight at them. A couple of days later on his blog, Notch posted some background information about his thought process behind creating the Enderman. So why did Notch create them to begin with? Well, the answer is, Notch needed a distraction. You see, Notch had been working on the new town code, but finding it frustrating, and decided to start working on creating a new mob instead. He described it as dark, has long and narrow limbs, moves very slowly, and it will pick up blocks and move them around. He wanted this to be a mob that you only saw in the distance, and a mob you'd be afraid of. Notch said that his first playtests weren't scary enough and it just reminded him of a zombie, so he made it move faster towards the player when attacking and deal more damage. But it still wasn't creepy enough. So I thought some about what creepy actually is, and it's more about trying to avoid something from happening than it is about actually having that thing happen. If you know something bad can happen if you do the wrong thing, you'll start thinking about your actions, and that might make things more scary. And that's when Notch added the behaviour of looking at them. I made it passive until he looked straight at it, and that was scary. Suddenly you could walk up to these looking beasts and watch them as they moved their blocks around, but as soon as you happened to look straight at them, they'd attack. Notch said this felt a little bit like a jump scare in a movie, but to increase the psychological threat, he changed their behaviour to make them freeze in place and turn towards the player when looking at them, only attacking when the player looks away. When they attack, you know it's your fault. When you happen to look at one, you can keep looking at it to figure out how to deal with it, but you know it will reach you very fast once you stop looking at it. Notch was grateful for all of the input and ideas that players had about the new Enderman. GM Freaky suggested that pumpkins could be used as a way to prevent Enderman from noticing you. Notch must have seen this because a few days later he posted to Reddit saying, "Sure, I will add that." This post contained a new screenshot of the Enderman, but this time the player was wearing a pumpkin on its head. And if we look closely as well, we can now see that the Enderman has glowing green eyes. We're out here hunting Enderman. I'm very keen to find one, and I didn't want to do it too close to home because I knew that they're quite destructive with their ability to pick up blocks and move them around. So they can do it out here where they can't do very much damage, or at least not so much damage that I care about. All right, let's see if we can find our very first Enderman. Well, I may not have found an Enderman, but I have found this, a spider jockey. Spider jockeys were added in Alpha 1.0.17, and I've only ever seen one in my world before this because they're reasonably rare, having only a 1% chance to spawn in like this. It's actually the spider controlling all of the movement, with the skeleton kind of acting as a turret, targeting nearby players with the bow. In Beta 1.8, some of the bow mechanics have changed, which means that the skeleton no longer rapid fires the arrow, and instead it pulls the string back before firing. Skeleton jockeys are still a little bit slower to fire than regular skeletons, but their arrows hit with more damage. Off you go, boy. Oh, and you. Bye. Ah! Do you see that? Down there? It's the Enderman. Look at its piercing green eyes. Now we should be able to get relatively close without this thing being spooked. Notice how it's got a puff of smoke around it. That's a placeholder texture. I think very soon that's going to change. And the noise that the Enderman makes at the moment is the sound of the zombie. Again, that's just a placeholder, and it should change in the future. Oh, you're a creepy thing, aren't you? Now, can we get a good look at this? Oh, thank you for that leaf block. We can sort of get a good look at it without looking directly at it. Oh no, oh no, no. Goodbye. There's another one, off in the distance. Never mind these creepers that don't have any heads. Just ignore that. But we do have another Enderman.
In these versions, the Endermen are capable of spawning in groups of up to 4.
I'm not sure exactly what their spawn rate is. We're just going to have to get rid of you. You're a strange looking thing, aren't you? But I do wonder how far away I need to be in order to be able to attract its attention by looking. I'm not too keen to try that out yet because I just want to observe it for a while. So if we get a little bit closer again, as long as I don't put my reticle anywhere over the Enderman, I think I should be pretty safe. I think in newer, more modern versions of the game, you basically have to put it directly over its face, but with that last encounter that we had, I put it across its body and it seemed to also get aggravated. So let's be very careful here and have a close look at you. Where are you going? So this one looks like it's picked up a leaf block, and Notch did comment a little bit later on after these versions came out that the block pickup and placement was very annoying, and it definitely was, because if you have a lot of Endermen in your world, then blocks seem to go missing and get picked up and moved around a lot. So that does get nerfed in future versions, but for now, this thing is capable of picking up any block. That includes things like spawners and bedrock, so it's quite an unusual mob in that respect. Now the Enderman can be killed by a melee attack such as my fist or a sword, but in these versions it can also be defeated. Whoop.
Now, before I was so rudely interrupted, I found this group of 4 Endermen here, and do you know what the collective noun for a group of Endermen is? Well, Dinnerbone let us know many years later in 2014. He said in a tweet that a group of Endermen should be known as a haunting.
So where was I before I was so rudely interrupted before? That's right, I was talking about how these things take damage. Now, I can punch it or attack it with my sword and I'll definitely be able to kill it. But unlike the current versions of the game, the Enderman will actually take damage from an arrow. So I'm going to try and do that, hopefully without looking at that thing. Let's see what happens. Oh, I've just remembered arrows behave differently in this version. Let's try again. Pull back and it takes damage, but now it's after me. And look at that. It's also dropped an ender pearl. Let's have a look at this thing. In the quiet, please. The Enderman gives us a brand new mob drop, and that's this, the Ender Pearl. Currently, it serves no use in the game, but I'm sure that it will in the future, and that we will discover the properties of this thing as the versions progress. But before the Ender Pearl was invented as the mob drop for the Enderman originally dropped diamonds. But this was just a placeholder drop for the Enderman, and it was only ever present in the versions used at PAX. Now let's see if we can observe a couple of these Endermen picking up and placing down blocks. It's a new behavior. Oh, you've picked up a grass block. And this is the first time I've actually seen the full grass block texture in-game like this, because normally this block's not accessible to the player. And as you can see, it's the side texture on all sides as opposed to having the proper grass texture on top, just like you would expect from a normal grass block. So I didn't see him pick up that block, but we'll see if we can see this one, not with you. We'll see if we can see this one picking up a block. I'm being very careful not to look at them because I know how much danger I'll be in if they do. There you go, you picked up a leaf block. Now, what are you going to do with it? Ah, gardening. Well, everyone needs a hobby.
One of the more frustrating things about the Enderman's ability to pick up blocks like this is that I'm starting to notice holes all over the place. Tree trunks are missing blocks, there are holes in the ground from wherever the Enderman have picked up grass blocks like this one. And what's worse is that if an Enderman picks up a block like this, if you kill the Enderman, it doesn't drop the block that it stole, which is really bad. Let's say if it picks up a monster spawner or some blocks that make up part of your build. How annoying is that? I'm keen to find out exactly what happens if we stare at this thing. So I'm going to carefully move my mouse over its face. Oh, look at that. So if I hold my crosshair right over its torso or its face, it will not come near me. Now, if I get closer, how close can I get to this thing? Oh, you're a scary looking thing. And it teleports away. Where have you gone? There it is. Oh! It looks like if I hold it like this, it won't move. It seems to be frozen, but look at that jaw. I love that. I love the fact that, oh, I moved my mouse and I think, oh, I love that little jaw thing. Where is it? Where is it? Oh, this is very disorientating. I love that open jaw. It's such a nice touch. It makes it look really scary and creepy. And can we see if you teleport? If I get too close, it just teleports away. And I don't know exactly where it's gone. I have to look around. But here it comes, here it comes. Aha! It's a standoff. Let's see if we can kill you. Oh, here it comes, here it comes. Ah. Look at this. I found an Enderman holding a double slab. It's picked it up from here somewhere in the rubble. And I knew they were capable of picking this block up because they're capable of picking up any block within the game. But I wasn't sure that I'd actually see this in the wild. Now, do you think it'd be possible for us to get an Enderman into one of these minecarts? I'm going to see if I can just squeeze in here and attract this Enderman over. Come on, and hopefully it'll fall into my trap and get inside one of these minecarts. I've put up this roof here because Endermen unfortunately burn up in the sun, so I would need to have a nice little platform for it. But by putting it into a minecart like this, we can have a nice close-up look at its beautiful face. Right now, this Enderman's pretty aggressive towards me, but I'm curious to know what happens if we leave the game and come back in. Will it retain its aggression, or will it go back to being passive again? Let's just move the mouse cursor away from it, and we'll go back out to the main menu, go back in, and... oh, you're back to normal. You're a nice, friendly, calm Enderman, just enjoying a little old ride in your minecart. Eddie the Enderman. There we go. Now, unfortunately, I don't believe it's going to be possible for us to keep Eddie here because in this version of the game, entities inside of minecarts will still unfortunately disappear or despawn if we leave the area. So, unfortunately, you're only going to exist for as long as we hang out here with you. But, you know, that's okay. We can still do some experiments in the meantime, I suppose. If I just head over this way a little bit away from Eddie over there, check out what happens if I make him aggressive. Here we go. Now he's in the minecart, so he's locked there and he can't move. But he thinks that he can. And you see that? A puff of smoke. And he was able to inflict damage on me. So it seems like the Enderman does teleport away, but then teleports back with enough time to actually inflict damage on me. And what a cool effect this is. It looks like a magician performing some kind of magical illusion. I love it. Ow. Sadly, Eddie, we're going to have to leave it there. I know you're angry, but unfortunately, this is the end of the episode. There's hopefully plenty more we can learn about the Enderman and the Beta 1.8 update across the next few episodes. So I want to say thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Before I go, I want to say a huge and special thank you to my amazing patrons for supporting me, and Happy New Year. I'll see you in the next episode. Until then, this has been bugmancx. You've been watching Minecraft The Journey. Hey! Thank you for giving me my dirt block back.